Okay, we like to say shalom to you, brothers and sisters, this Sabbath. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar with Elder Lawyer of the Gathering of Christ Church, here for another impactful, through the Spirit of the Most High, Ahaya Bashim Yeshaya Wobberwalk, Sabbath lesson. In lieu of what's going on within society right now, the inciting of wars and rumors of wars, Matthew 24, Christ tells us that nation shall rise against nation, which is actually a prophetic race war. We thought that we as the Gathering of Christ Church would put this in its proper perspective according to the Most High. What do I mean by that? We really need to be tempered with what's going on within the United States and not gauge or operate according to how the Roman powers and the European powers would like us to react to these quote unquote shootings. Why am I saying this? Think about this. How is it that the government powers can control when we as a people get angry or upset? Think about it. It's as if they can flip the switch to control our psyche and emotions at any given period. And none of us are looking at that as a fault amongst us. That they can control when we get angry or upset or ready to stand up for black power, whatever the case is. That means they control our movements, spiritually or otherwise. Only when they say it's good to be upset, we as a people get upset. So I'm going to go into this today. All right. Excuse me if I pause the chat because there's a lot we have to deal with today. So we're going to move that chat on the side. I'll answer any questions you would like. Today, what we're going to do through the Spirit of the Most High is talk about Black Lives Matter. We're going to talk about what's in the news. We're going to talk about how all of a sudden Israelites are the hot button topic, even within media, after years of being ignored. You didn't think they would engage us or begin to deal with us or talk with us? And I'm saying this right now. Through the Spirit of the Most High, we knew a long time that this was coming. That's why, in spite of what's out there in terms of quote unquote Israelites, we figured that it's best to be how Christ said be in these days and deal with the doctrine according to the disciples. Not to be rogue, be respectful to all, as much life within us, be at peace with all men, which means if they're not personally threatening us or looking to harm us, then, we can be cordial and respectful to all, Jews and Gentiles alike. Because we knew that there would come a time that they would need to engage and face the truth concerning the Israelites waking up. And I'm not speaking of a cult or a group. I'm speaking of God's chosen people who have been dormant in the valley of the dry bones up until this time. The Most High has begun to awaken the children of Israel throughout the four corners of the earth. And eventually they would need to engage those who the Most High would use to awaken his people. Eventually they would have to. They ignored us for a long time. And that's why we began to operate outside of the quote unquote, what you would call cookie cutter Israelites that the government would like to portray as cultish. They was going to use that so they wouldn't have to engage certain people, knowing that the way people look or using derogatory terms or saying something wrong, they would use that as a point of not even having to engage those particular groups at all. They would say, just look. Okay? They would say, look, they're cursing people out. They believe in this. They believe in that. They believe in this. And try to blanket the whole awakening with that condemnation. So we kind of figured that, okay, Christ don't want us to be that. We can teach the truth according to Christ, be at peace with all men, and bring forth the gospel of Christ, which is most effective. The truth is what really brings people in, not what you have on, not how you curse people out or say something wrong to people. Yeah, it's provocative. And of course, our people will run to mischief when they see a fight going on or some type of debate happening. But all in all, the powers are only threatened through truth. So now the Israelites now are on the table. They're in the public arena. Now I'm going to show you how they're looking to portray us. And one thing I thank the Most High about this, that we, believe it or not, this church, we started almost in this doctrine and sound doctrine of the Most High, just dealing with the gospel of Christ and the understanding of Christ about a decade ago. All right, getting away from just being an Israelite. Everyone knows we're Israelites now. But who's in the spirit of Christ? Christ was a different sect of Israelites. Okay, that other Israelites were looking to demean, demonize, attack, crucify. All right, so we're going to show you how now the same media who is whipping up our people in ignorance in a frenzy right now. We're going to show you how they're portraying us amongst the population. When I say portraying us, this is what they want the world to see concerning Israelites. Take a look.
And 6.
A pastor is looking for answers tonight after vandals targeted his church and set it on fire. Good evening, I'm Steve Savard.
And I'm Claire Kellett. This is the aftermath at Greater St. Paul Church in North St. Louis. More than 40 chairs burned and a lot of smoke damage throughout this 200-member church, but that's not all.
News 4's Justin Andrews is live with the Bomberito Street Fleet tonight. And Justin, the pastor arrived to the church this morning and found something else.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. He got to the church this morning and realized there was an accident right in front of his church. Check out the damage. A fire hydrant off its foundation. The pastor says a car plowed right into that sign there. Talk about insult to injury. But tonight, the pastor is asking what to do next.
I still tear up because this ministry means so much to me.
Even with a broken heart and a shattered ministry, Pastor Titus Irving is staying strong.
I have been down the path where God had to bring me through so much, and so I still stand on the promises and on the strength of God.
After talking to investigators early Tuesday morning and watching surveillance video, Irving believes 2 people tossed bricks and rolled a gasoline-soaked tire through this window before setting the church on fire. Nearly $100,000 in damage. Dozens of charred chairs and severe smoke damage throughout this church left its congregation without a place to worship.
It kind of broke my heart because I have put so much into this building here with my personal hand.
Pastor Irving says knowing someone deliberately targeted his church is just unbelievable. But what makes this even more hurtful for him could be the graffiti and motive behind it. Though he still questions why the hatred, Pastor Irving still forgives.
Knowing that my faith has not been shaken by all this, but my heart is truly broken. We forgive you. We forgive you.
Now, we cannot get our hands on that surveillance video because police say this is still all under investigation. Meanwhile, if you know anything about this, police are asking that you call Crime Stoppers. In North City, Justin Andrews, News 4.
New tonight at
And 6.
A pastor is looking for answers tonight after vandals targeted his church and set it on.
Now let's make this clear. No black people or black Israelites burned a Christian church. Okay? as you can see, there was not $100,000 in damage there either. So what we're seeing here is a Masonic Zionist plot to demonize people who are waking up. And a Mason who's a Christian pastor who was paid $100,000. Why? Because our people are leaving the Zionist-controlled black churches. And I'm going into that in a moment. Because the black pastors cannot really contend against Israelites, they're looking to demonize them and call them cultish and come up with these demonizing media spins to come against the children of Israel as terrorists. Now, how do I know this? Jewish people do this all the time. When I say Jewish people, not the normal synagogue goer, not the normal Jewish person. So don't claim I'm anti-Semitic and don't like Jewish people. No, that's not the case. We're talking about the Zionist Rand media. They're known for doing certain actions and putting spray paint on the side of things for political agendas, for sympathy for Jewish people. So now they're using that same play in media to demonize a people they can't contend with spiritually. We're going to expose what they're dealing with. I'm going to give you an example of how they use the media to claim they're being attacked by KKK or people who are anti-Semitic. Take a look at this.
We begin tonight with a surprising development in the story of those swastikas painted on the door of a student at George Washington University. Good evening, I'm Doreen Gensler.
And I'm Jim Vance. Turns out the student was painting the hateful symbols herself. Jackie Benson is at the university now with more on this. Jackie?
Jim, these incidents, and there were several of them, caused a lot of concern here on the GW campus. Now, the FBI was called in to assist after swastikas kept appearing on a message board, similar to a dry erase board, on the door of a female student, she is Jewish, who lived in Mitchell Hall. Now the university confirms that a hidden camera placed in the hallway confirmed the student who was the apparent victim did it herself. News 4 spoke to that young woman who asked not to be identified shortly after the hate-filled symbols began appearing on her door. Here's what she had to say at that time.
Who does such a thing?
I wish I knew. I wish I had any clue who this was, but university police, my house proctor, administrators, nobody can think of a motive of somebody who hates me that much.
Through the use of hidden cameras, interviews, and increased police patrols, we have concluded, and through a final interview today, investigators have concluded that the student who reported the incidents is responsible for the incidents.
Now, the university has confirmed that the student, who is a freshman, has admitted responsibility for the swastikas in Mitchell Hall. She faces student judicial action, and she could face possible criminal charges. But I get the feeling here at this point that the university just wants to see her get some help. This has been a very troubling incident for everyone here. Jim, back to you.
Jackie Benson. Thank you, Jackie.
We begin tonight with a surprising development.
All right. So as you can see, a young woman on campus caught red-handed painting swastikas in the hallway and then complaining to campus police that there's anti-Semites on campus attacking Jewish people. They're known for this. Who are the biggest threats in society? Usually the biggest threat in society are those society cannot criticize. You can talk about black people all day long. You can make jokes about them. You can crack jokes on them. Hey, you can crack jokes on Chinese people. Hey, you can even have your everyday, ever so often, white joke with Dave Chappelle. But try to criticize Jewish people and see if you're not marginalized. See if you don't lose your job or lose your status. What's really going on with these people who's using the media to demonize someone when no one has done much harm to society within our current history than them. Why all of a sudden they want to use the media to attack Israelites? Well, maybe because they're the same people who attacked Christ and killed Christ and destroyed our people. So this is why I'm saying we need to be tempered with media-controlled anger aimed towards us getting angry when they say we should get angry. Should we get upset if they kill our people? Yes. But don't participate in your own destruction, especially when some of these acts are fake altogether. And they can spin the media any way they would like. Number one, Black Lives Matter was not created by black people. The NAACP was not created by black people. They both are Jewish controlled, paid for, and was set up by Zionists to be the control mechanism over our people, to put paid taskmasters over us to watch us, the Zionist watchers of the NAACP, the Zionist watcher. And come to find out that the Black Lives Matter was set up through Soros, a Jewish guy, who also financed the Middle Eastern, quote unquote, civil wars and revolts in Egypt, Libya, okay, and Tanzania, over in Syria. All these revolts, all these little revolts where people are standing up and marching and all that, that was all media driven, Western world driven, and paid for by Soros. Which means you can take some poor people, get an organization together, finance them and pay them and set up an office, and get these people to stir the community up to march for something that you'll never receive anyway. But when they get all these people together in one place, that can be utilized by government to bring in their forces for control. That's the whole point. They need the crowd. They need the marches. They need the revolt so that they can now bring in their provocateurs and say something happened during this march as a pretext to use military to destroy us. Now, instead of us marching about one person, they can kill 10, 100, 1,000. They just need you to feel like marching and being a part of what you think is the only thing you can possibly do. But no, you have other options. We're going to go into those options today. Why should we be upset when the powers that be that's orchestrating this isn't upset? Why do I say this? We go march about a black guy getting killed. Mm-hmm. And the sorcery through their media is so strong. They can do a false flag killing of police. And now the black person getting killed is off the table. They can just change a story within 24 hours. They can cut you on and cut you off at any time through a media spin. Why be controlled? And you have all types of brothers who have nothing to do with this, who's organically looking at these shooters saying, it's time for us to do something. It's time for us to grab arms. This is what they've been waiting for. Guess what? We've been talking about a race war since 1992. Okay? It's about to happen. not because of Soros, not because of Jewish people, not because the Bible, Christ prophesied the Romans coming against us at the very end, like they did in 70 AD. Nation against nation. That's nationality against nationality, race against race. So, my lesson today, through the Spirit of the Most High, will be titled Racism Within Christian Theology. You should be more mad of how we being spiritually controlled when the cameras are off. You should be mad at the diversions that we're looking at through Jewish Zionist media, yet ignoring the prophecies concerning how we can get out of this and what's next planned against us according to prophecy and scripture. Now, why did I say that? Why should we be upset and they're not upset? Well, guess what? I have one more clip for you. All right? Here's your George Bush, the same guy who was in place that led to the war on terrorism, the war on civilian terrorism, with the 9/11, September 11th, claiming that bin Laden, a CIA asset, blew up some towers from a cave, who claimed that, okay, let me go to war throughout the whole Middle East. And as a pretext, toppled the whole Middle East, took all the poppy seeds and the drugs they were going to use on you from Afghanistan. And we said it years ago on the street, that this is the path to the mark. Look it up. This is the path to the mark of the beast. That was the beginning of their war against us. Arabs, the Middle Eastern Ishmaelites, are one and the same, operating with the Roman and Jewish powers. They're not demonizing Arabs no more. The whole narrative was set up to attack us from the beginning. And I told you that on the streets years ago. And here we are. This is how George Bush and our president and others celebrate their media imposition against you. They laugh in your face. Here's the police that were just killed not too long ago that they claim at a memorial where no bodies are being shown. They're laughing at you. This is how they feel. You see Michelle, all of them up there laughing it up. Why? Because they were able to, in 24 hours, do a psyop. Get everyone out there marching about a black guy being killed through Black Lives Matter and change the narrative within 24 hours. To what? To empower the police state that will now deem every black person walking in America as domestic terrorist. The Klan with a tan. Black Lives Matter. Now, why is this an issue? Black Lives Matter in each city is only about 5 or 6 people being paid by Soros. But all the people who get whipped up in a frenzy will now be related to Black Lives Matter. So if you are connected with them through Facebook, if they have friended you and connected you with you, you are automatically being watched as a terrorist. If you go and make a video claiming what you're going to do and what you're tired of based on this media frenzy, they're going to mark you a domestic terrorist. They're going to engage you, not based on your criteria, but theirs. If you are making threats online, automatically, the FBI and others must consider you a serious threat. Why? Because you said you was going to do something. You said you was going to go rally people together and do all this. Under the Terrorist Act, under the terrorist laws, they must investigate that. So we need to stop getting caught up into their media frenzies and march when they want us to march. And understand, and guess what? They're able to do this after years of watching us, examining us, like the Truman Show. They've been watching us from outside their bubble. They can turn us on and off at their discretion. Okay? They know our potential. So they can turn us on to fight in their wars. Okay? They can whip us up in a frenzy because they know our potential. But then they can give us poisons that'll kill us off and make us brain dead years later so that they don't have to pay us as veterans. They can turn us off. See? So listen to this. Get Ecclesiastes 7:7. Let's go here first.
Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7.
Yes.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. See? So, of course, anyone with wisdom will get angry concerning the oppression of their people. Okay? They'll say, well, listen, I'm wise enough to know that we need answers. I'm wise enough to understand that this can't go on. We need a solution. So oppression maketh a wise man mad, but there's temperate scriptures in the Bible that says, be angry, but sin not.
Mm-hmm. Read this quickly.
Yes.
Verse 9, Ecclesiastes 7:9. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools.
Anger resteth in the bosom of fools. And see, and that's what Soros and the Zionists and the Romans who are controlling this is banking on. Us acting like fools.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you, we have enough to be angry about every day. The organic racism that's permeating within our society on a regular basis should make us more angry than what we see when they push the red button. I can roll it all off. You all know. No jobs, separating the family court, the destruction of our understanding, dividing us through religion, putting guns in our neighborhood so that we can kill each other, the vaccines that are brain killing our children on a regular basis. I don't see no one marching about how many of our children are dying brain dead in these children's hospitals, who are our future. So it's when they push the button who are dying through these vaccines, which is time-released genetic poisons that are killing our people, making black young men brain dead, autism, feeding you rat poison in your food. You should be more, where's the march on this? Why can't we stand up to live healthy and do what's right so that we can think straight? Instead of engaging them when they say engage, waiting with what? The military, the foreign military. And I'm going to tell you right now, we said it years ago, brothers and sisters, that a lot of these police are not police. They're foreign troops. When George Bush instituted the Patriot Act and made a smooth transition throughout all law enforcement, local, state, and federal, working with the military, which means when they brought those Russian troops in and others in, they can come into your area now under Homeland Security and put on a police uniform and circumvent the posse comitatus. You talking about martial law? We're already in martial law. Okay, it's okay. Military can't do it. All right, let's dress the military up like police. And they're the ones coming in. And guess what? Even though these are a lot of false flags right now, what they're leading to will not be a false flag. Mm-hmm. What they're about to do will be real. And I'm saying to our people, through the Spirit of the Most High, don't go when they say go. I'm begging you. Don't go when they say go. They did this to us before. And if we don't know history, we're doomed to repeat it. We're going to break this down today. You have anything to say before I go into it, Other Lord?
Sir.
All right. Okay. Racism within Christian theology is our lesson today. Why am I going here? These are the things that should make you angry. The fact that we have been spiritually circumvented and hijacked with no direction. What did they use? Let me tell you something real quick. Pass my Bible real quick out of there. That's good. Grab another Bible out of there real quick. The Bible is real. The Bible is real. The prophecies are real. And I'm speaking now to my brothers who at this time don't believe in the Bible because you claim it's a white man's book and it was used to enslave us. You in error. And if you follow this lesson just in a respectful manner and just follow us real quick with it, you'll understand its importance. That means the Most High God, if you use this Bible right, can give you an insight or foresight on how to react in these situations and what to do, understanding it was prophesied to happen. Then look at the history, because the Bible is a history book, on what to do in these circumstances when we are faced with prophecy, enemies at the door. And also our spiritual intervention with the Most High during these times must be studied. Like our forefathers did in the past. We are and were very spiritual people. We understood who our enemies were and who our God was in these times when you read the Bible. He's our help. Now I want to go in this real quick. Go into this. For these brothers who don't believe in the Bible. Understand that the Jesuits and the powers and the Romans who are controlling theology today didn't use the Bible to enslave us. Okay? They created a theology, a Zionist-controlled black religion that would actually throw us off concerning who we were, to disconnect us from our God at this time. They changed the characters. During our time of slavery, they made us believe that we were another race and that they were the chosen people. And they taught that theology until they can no longer do so. And I'm going to show you when that happened. Then the same Zionists who are behind the slave trade, the same people who are controlling things now, they sought to create new Bibles that would take us away from the content within the King James Version. Okay? That's why when you go into a bookstore today, you can hardly find anything religious or biblical or King James. They got about a section this small for King James Version Bibles. And everything is NIV. They're the best styled, they're the best looking Bibles, all that. But something was special about that King James Version. They lied on King James. For all of you who are using the stories the Jesuits made up about King James, I said it before and I'll say it again. King James was you. If they lied on him, they'll lie on you. James, the sixth and the first, in the reunion of Christendom. I don't have to argue what color King James was. Okay? I don't have to argue that. The Jesuits and the Romans were behind lying on you. Because if you knew that he authorized the King James Version Bible, what need would you have of white theologians standing up claiming they're the authority, trying to teach us in captivity, trying to make us believe we something we weren't? Brothers, King James was for you. And that's why the Jesuits came up with an NIV Bible to homogenize the content, to water it down. And I'm going to go into the NIV to show you how they made it so all the places where the Bible says black, they would change it into something else based on a philosophy created by the Jesuits to temper the awakening you see today. Usually we end our lessons with Jacob's trouble. We end with our fall in 70 AD. And tell our brothers and sisters out there that the same way the Romans destroyed us in 70 AD, they're doing the same today. We end it with that. There's many lessons out there where they built a garrison around Jerusalem or Masada in 70 AD. Our people, they made a border, didn't let no food in, no water in until we were weakened. Then they killed us in 70 AD. You notice they'll show many slavery pictures out there, but you rarely hear or see any movies out there on 70 AD. The real Holocaust, when the Romans destroyed our people, which is history that's recorded outside and within the Bible. We usually end there. But why do you think they're talking about border control now? Why do you think they have control of your food and water? This is the same thing as 70 AD. The only thing they need to do now is demonize us like Nero did 7 years before our takedown. Now they need to demonize us like Nero did. Nero burned 7 cities within Rome and blamed it on the black Israelites, the Jews, not Jewish people. And as a pretext, they took us down, taking heed to a prophecy. See, they don't have to do anything different. It's the same thing they're doing now. They demonized us and called us terrorists in Rome, and as a pretext, took us down. Who did this? Romans. Who are the Romans today? The European powers. Who are they today? They're white people who killed black people. Now, do I blame all white people for this? No. But those who are in charge, you know who we're talking about, that are controlled by the principalities and powers, the demons, the rulers of this earth, the gods being worshipped amongst Gentiles. You know we're speaking of you. You're caught red-handed. Revelations 2:9 says, I know thy works and tribulations and poverty, speaking of us, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Christ called them out. He told us that they would be using, Satan would be using people calling themselves Jews and are not in the last days, throwing us in prisons, killing us, destroying us. And their red hand is on the red button telling us when to get mad. Now let's go into prophecy. I'm going to show you what we should be angry about. The fact that they have taken away the only tool, the only spiritual connection that would get us out of this situation. They had us question the Bible in the last days. This was our strength throughout all time. It's what separated us from the other nations and had us cleave to our God. It's that power that's going to guide us through this. So, for those who don't believe the Bible and claim the Bible is a fairy tale, well, guess what? We're going to read Christ's writings. Years before we fell in 70 AD, Christ prophesied something. Let's get it. Come on.
This is the book of St. Luke, chapter 21, verse 19. In your patience, possess your souls.
In your patience, possess your souls. So Christ is telling us when these things are going down, we just can't react. Okay? You have to say, well, hold up. Do they want us to engage in this? Is this a chess move here by the Romans to move us outside of our spiritual guidance, our spiritual strength? Are we yielding strength to them by doing what they would like us to do? So Christ says, when this happens, speaking of 70 AD, I'm going to show you. In patience, possess your soul. What you do can mean life or death when they're coming after you, is what Christ is showing here. Go on.
In your patience possess ye your souls. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
When you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. Now, Jerusalem back then, brothers and sisters, were Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. There was no multicultural Israel. Okay? There was no black, white, yellow Israelites. All the Israelites were people of color, are people of color. Black people, whom they deem or call black. Africa is an extension of that land, a wilderness that we ran into after being slaughtered by the Romans. Read.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Let they who are in Judea flee into the mountains. Now there's European lies out there that the Israelites were captured in Rome and were white people. That's a lie. The Israelites that were captured in Rome were thrown in the Colosseums and became the gladiators. They were us, the same gladiators that fight and do sports in their arena today. Okay? The majority of us who took hold to this prophecy went into the Atlas Mountains around Africa and fled into Africa until we were founded in Timbuktu by an Arab and some white people. These were Israelites from the diaspora, from the fall or desolation of Rome. What references do we have on this? Go to Rudolf R. Windsor, From Babylon to Timbuktu. Go to another book called Hebrewism in West Africa and look at all the references and sources of that. All of a sudden, you got Jewish people who we confront who now say, well, hey, Jews are all color. Well, why didn't you tell us that when we were in the black church thinking we were ham? Now the cat's out of the bag. You want to be inclusive? Stop lying. Stop lying. Read it again.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
Come on.
then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Know that the desolation is near.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
Let they which are in Judea flee into the mountains. So our people fled into the Atlas Mountains. Okay? And even when you look at the expulsion of the Jews later out of Spain, that was us being expelled. Remnants of the black Moors of Spain. I'm going to go into a few things today. So we fled into the mountains, went into Africa, to the point where now still dialects of Hebrew is being spoken in Africa till this day, yet it's being ignored by mainstream. Why? Those who say they are Jews and are not are controlling mainstream. They don't want you to know, because if we're the Israelites and we're the Jews, then who are you? Could you be the Romans or the Edomites that's lost in jewelry according to the Jewish encyclopedia? Could you be Edom according to the Bible? No, you can't be the bad guy, can you? You can't be the guy whose media that's pushing homosexuality, the separation of family, multiculturalism, death, destruction, and wars. You can't be Edom, who's linked to the Canaanite god of Mount Seir, who's Satan himself. Oh, that can't be you, can it? Saying you're the chosen people. The question is, you were chosen to do what? By who? And while they got us fighting amongst each other, looking to tear each other down, they're on the outside looking to destroy us all. And I'm speaking of our people who think that they can take a platform attacking their own people. There's a reason why I don't speak against my own people, whether I agree with them or not. Because there's something more fruitful we can do at our time. Spread the gospel in preparation for what they're doing, and not get caught up into their hot button topics to get us out in the open to destroy us with Black Lives Matter. If we're going to die, let's die for truth. Let's die for righteousness. Read on.
Verse 21.
Come on.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
So we fled into the mountains. Read on.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance.
These be the days of vengeance. Now when you look at this vengeance, a lot of people are looking at the vengeance of the Lord based on our sins. You're part right there. But the vengeance that they are ignoring, brothers and sisters, is that vendetta Edom had against his brother Jacob, when he promised to destroy Jacob, when our father Isaac gave us the blessings and the promise. So Esau had an axe to grind against us, our brother Edom. So yes, it was vengeance of the Lord for our disobedience. But someone else had vengeance in their heart and sought an opportunity once we fell. And who's that? The Edomites and all the other nations. Psalms 83 tell us that it's not just Edom. They conspired together to keep us in slavery, to have us fight amongst ourselves, because we are the jewelry of the Most High. You take us, you take the world. We are the builders of all civilizations. We are the mind behind everything you see. So what happens if these people have the same ingenuity with no knowledge of themselves? We can now be used by the Gentiles as slaves. See? Christ talked about this. And I'm perplexed with all these Christian churches who speaks about Christ, but cannot put two and two together. Refuse to put two and two together. Refuse to look at Christ saying, well, there's some people that was destroyed by white Romans that he said would be what? Read.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
Come on.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them
that all things that were written must be fulfilled. So there's a fulfillment of this, which means it comes to an end. But you must know what's in the Old Testament concerning this. And I'm putting this out there because people look at what's going on and say, there is no God. God would allow this to happen. When you don't understand the prophecies, it hasn't been fulfilled yet. Our captivity and the nations attacking us was part of the curse. It proves there is a God. You have a lot of people going atheist now saying, where's your God? Look at our people getting killed. You're erring, not knowing the scriptures. You're erring. The same God allowed us to fall due to our disobedience in the Old Testament. We begin to turn to the other gods, follow the other nations. So the Most High said, for a time, I'm going to put you under the nations. But he sent a light. He sent Christ, who would shed his blood for the sins of the nations, the nation, Israel, that would one day give us the promise of sons. So this captivity and what they're doing against us, brothers and sisters, is not forever. We have to be on the right side of this and choose right to make it through this, so that we're fighting on the wrong side with the right God. Fighting on the right side, with the right God, and not be fighting as a people on the wrong side of this. Listen to what Christ say here. Read it.
Verse 23. But woe unto them that are with child.
Woe to them that are with child. Why? Because there's going to come a time in which our people must be pilgrims on the earth. They're going to come with their jack boots, claiming that you're terrorists. And they don't care whether you're not man, woman, or child. They're going to look to destroy these foreign troops. Same thing in 70 AD. These Romans. Read.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Come on.
For these be there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall.
Hold up. Upon what people?
In wrath upon this people.
The Most High was only talking about a prophecy against one people. All right. This was white people fighting against black people here in the Bible. Romans against black people. There's no way Romans could come down into Jerusalem looking the same as other white people and knowing who to destroy. The only white people that was over Jerusalem at this time were the governors, the Idumeans who converted, like Herodotus, like King Herod or Governor Herod, who killed our people during the time of Christ. He was an Edomite. And his children, their line, that were over the Sanhedrin. And they set up our people, black people, as politicians and religious leaders like they have today. It's the same setup in our modern society than it was in Jerusalem. Same thing. You had the white people, which were the converts, Herod and his family line, and the Romans over the black leaders. It's the same today. Read on,
Verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They are the children of Israel. They shall fall by the edge of the sword. Read.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
And shall be led away captive into all nations. You would think that a Christian church filled with the children of black slaves would teach this. That Christ said a people would be what?
Led away captive into all nations.
They will become slaves by the Gentiles, all nations. So every place you see slaves, these people are they who fled out of Jerusalem according to 70 AD, according to Christ. So that means all these black churches are filled with children of this particular prophecy. The children of Israel who fled into Africa and later fulfilled another Old Testament prophecy, slavery. Hold it and get Deuteronomy 32 and 21. We're going to hit these real quick and go into it. Deuteronomy 32 and 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 21.
Come on.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High.
This is why the Most High allowed the Gentiles to take us down in 70 AD. We began to deal with their God opposed to the God who led us out of Egypt. Read.
They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not the Most High. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people.
So he said, you're going to put up a no God for me? I'll put up a no people for you. Now you're going to have fake Jews, fake people. So if they're the people being exalted as Jews and Israelites, the question is, who do we think we are? Who are we? Are we black? Are we African American? Are we from the tribe of Shabazz? Are we Negroes? We're the only people with the same mother and father, with the same race, that's split in different ideologies and religions and ethnicities. Why? Maybe we're the lost sheep of Israel. Lost people have no identity. A lost people will call themselves anything, right? Maybe we're the children of Israel fulfilling this curse in Deuteronomy. Oh, the Jewish people don't want you to know that. That would bring a whole new idea to the Christians supporting Israel. They don't want you to support the Israelites. They want you to support the Romans converted into Israelis. They're telling you they're not Israelites. What's an Israeli? I never read that in the Bible. What's a Jewish person? I never read that in the Bible. Okay. Give me another term they got. They got Jewish. They have Israeli. Saying Jewish alone tell you that, okay. Oh, yeah, what color was that? Blue? Oh, no, it's kind of a bluish color, a teal. Okay, so it's not blue. They're telling you in the name itself that they're not the people. Mm-hmm. Okay? They're not the people. You cannot be another race through religious conversion. Your religious persuasion does not change your ethnicity or bloodline. Look at all the black people that's following Asian teachings today, Buddhists. Are you Chinese now? Finish reading, Elder Lawyer. Pick up.
The rest of verse 21.
Come on.
I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
So the Most High says that he will provoke us to anger with a foolish nation. Because we didn't want to follow the law, statutes, and commandments, the Most High put fools over us. Read.
Verse 22. For a fire is kindled in mine anger, and shall burn unto the lowest hell, and shall consume the earth with her increase, and set on fire the foundations of the mountains.
Now let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 64.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
These are the prophecies contained in the Bible. The curses that would fall on the children of Israel if they didn't follow the Most High God, the God of the Bible. Read the matter of fact, read the 15th verse first.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day.
Come on.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So if you don't follow this, Israel, all of these curses shall overcome you and take you. What curses? Read the 64th verse.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
Hold up. You should be led away captive into all nations.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
These are the people Christ was talking about that will be led away captive into all nations. You shall be scattered among all people. That means you will fulfill the curse of Christ. The real Jews, the Israelites, would go into captivity under their Roman captors. Read.
From the one end of the earth, even unto the other.
Come on.
And there thou shalt serve thine enemies, or serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
So we would go into captivity and serve other gods our fathers didn't know, even wood and stone. Our God didn't know anything. I mean, our people didn't know anything about Jesus. There was no such thing as Jays. We weren't Greeks. We weren't Romans. We knew nothing about worshiping a Greek god or a Roman god. These are new gods. Okay? Our forefathers didn't know anything about Allah. The Arab religion didn't come around until what? the 7th century. AD, after Christ. So the people of the curse didn't know a God named Allah. See? But our people are divided within these two religions, wood and stone. Wood is the cross. Stone is the what? The Kaaba stone of Mecca. We are the people fulfilling the curse. And as long as we follow their religions, we're under their power. The Most High is now releasing us from that curse. We're coming out of the curse. And now the same people who've enslaved us and educated us are now looking to marginalize and demonize and call us terrorists. To do what they did to us in 70 AD. And they're going to do it to you whether you believe you're Israel or not. Not because of just you, what runs through your veins, Israel. They are afraid that your child may one day wake up, even if you are an atheist. The bloodline promise exists. So this curse wouldn't be forever, brothers and sisters. The curse is coming off of us. It's second nature to know we're Israel now. The question is, the Romans are saying amongst themselves, now that they know, what are we to do? What can we do now? Okay, let's put them in the same conversation with the KKK, who was also created by Jewish people. Let's demonize them. Let's spray paint churches and claim the Israelites did it. What are we going to do now? Let's get back into prophecy. Because here's the prophecy they wish they could change. Because we're the only people by the millions who went through the transatlantic slave trade. And all the ports of captivity were financed and ran by Jewish Romans. Read Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
When it says Egypt, there's no recorded history of our people going into Egypt. A matter of fact, back then, that landmass wasn't called Egypt at all. It was called Montezaria. The Egypt means bondage. That I will bring my people into a bondage similar to Egypt. How do we know it means bondage? Hold that and get Exodus 13 and 3. Precepts, thy get understanding.
Exodus chapter 13, verse 3.
Come on.
And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. So when you see that word Egypt there, it means house of bondage, according to the Bible. So I will bring thee into the house of bondage again by the mean of what?
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
With ships, which led to what you see on your screen. With ships. I will bring thee into bondage or Egypt again by the mean of slave ships. Now, not many Christians out there tied in Christ's prophecy to the slave ships. You now know how to do this. And understand that Christ was prophesying your captivity. Not that we would stay in this condition forever. He will free us. He will free us. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, you will go into captivity or Egypt a second time by the means of what?
With ships.
Read.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Which means this will be our last captivity. We won't see our captivity again. After this, we're free. And the Romans know that the time of the Gentiles is up. The Jewish people know it. The Elamites, the Arabs know it. The East Indians know it. The Japhetic Asians know it. That their time will soon end. And our promises fulfilled. Read.
Thou shalt see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
There you shall be sold unto your theologian teacher.
There you shall be sold unto your enemies.
There you shall be sold unto your master, the guy that will control your Christian church.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
Now, why am I preferencing this? I have a picture with a black man on his knees, being stricken and demoralized by what we see as a white master or taskmaster over him. Now, I need y'all to now put this in proper perspective. I need you to look at that guy on the floor there as now Creflo Dollar or T.D. Jakes, and the guy standing up is Kenneth Copeland. Okay? Because the guy standing up would teach this black man eventually how to become a preacher to control the other slaves with a slave doctrine. Now, the Bible is true. The white preacher is not going to teach the black guy that he's the people in the book. As a matter of fact, he'll say, well, listen, let's not even deal with that for a minute. If you read, you get whipped. And if you read the Bible, we'll just kill you. What were they afraid of in the Bible? The similarity between us in Egypt and us being enslaved by them. Were they afraid of Deuteronomy 28? Yes, they were. They were afraid of Deuteronomy 28. Suppose these children of slaves who were Israelites cleave to their God like they did before the Egyptian exodus. The white man know he can't contend against the God of Israel. No man can. Okay? What happens when these people are inspired with the Spirit from on high? What if we can't use them no more to fight in our wars, to destroy our enemies? How do we deal with this awakening when they find that they are the true children of Israel and that Jewish people the whole time have been financing our demise? What do we do when they find out that we were the slave masters, that we owned the ports, that we traded them like cattle throughout the earth, that we are behind the schools that have separated them from the truth, that we are over theologians, the theologian seminary colleges? What if they found out that we've been financing their destruction the whole time? They are afraid. They are afraid. not what we are, because they can push a button at any time and control our emotions. They are afraid, according to the prophecies, what we will become. They can't escape prophecy. Neither could we. They are afraid of our God. So what do? They say, well, listen, let's get in control of their religion and trick them. Let's have them follow our God and make these slaves believe they can go to heaven if they follow us as their Jesus, their God. So they began to paint white images and place them into our Bible. They couldn't stop us from reading the Bible. So now they had to do what you would call a psychosis or a psychological play on us by now just putting their pictures in the book. So when we relate to anything spiritual, we'll see them as Abraham, them as Christ, them as God. More racism within Christianity. See? So, when we went into captivity and were scattered amongst all nations, eventually the nations began to teach us we were someone else. We lost our identity. Let's go to Jeremiah 17, 4 and 5. There you shall be sold unto your enemies. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. For bondmen and bondwoman, and no man shall buy thee. So some people might ask, well, how can you be sold and not be bought? Well, that buy means redeem or purchase, which means no man can purchase us out of this condition. We're purchased through the blood of Christ. No man will stand up at the very end and be the sole leader that will get us out of this. That's Christ's job. Okay? Read Jeremiah 17. Let's go. Let's do it.
Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 4. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
Go on.
And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not.
Hold up. You will discontinue from your heritage. So during the time we went into captivity, we began to lose our cultural heritage connected to the Old Testament. See? We began to lose our identity through time. We forgot that we were the people. And those that were entrusted to teach us purposely set up schools to keep the lie continuing, that we were someone else. I'm going to go into it in a moment. Read on.
I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So we forgot who we were. We lost our identity. See? So Jerusalem becomes desolate. We fall in 70 AD. Moabites and Ammonites who surrounded Israel go into the land. Ishmaelites eventually come in during the time of the Crusades between the 8th and 11th century and begin to now go into our land also. Everyone is in the land except us. We're in Africa waiting for a prophecy of slave ships. All the nations on the outside of us are looking at our rich culture, looking to Africa to turn us into a third world country before they crush us at the very end and enslave those to build their empires like we build Egypt. Starting to make sense to you now, right? So now, because of ignorance, we will look at them as the masters, the religious leaders, those of understanding and high ilk, and use our financial status as a way of acquiescing to them for a crumb that falls from the master's table. Yeah, I'll give you money. Come into my schools. Let me make you smart enough to keep your people dumb. The Bible says the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. He would never use this menial satanic education to bring his people, to awaken his people. He don't want his credit to go to Harvard, Yale, Temple, none of these places. No universities. What university did Christ go to? What about the disciples? Especially the Loyola University, which is a Jesuit-ran satanic school of Jesuits that pump out all the white religious theologians that are running the black leaders in the black churches. You know what not going into comedy, but you know what it reminds me of sometimes? If you look at that movie Coming to America, and you got that guy reading from the McDowell book, how to do McDonald's.
Right.
This is what our black preachers do. They don't organically come up with understanding and theology according to the scripture, because the Bible is theology in itself. You don't need another man to explain the doctrine of the book. Just read it. All these black preachers are set up and they're reading from all the books that come in from the Jesuits on what to teach from week to week, Sunday school and all that. It's coming from our masters. It happened back then. Right? So now let's go. We went into captivity. Lost our identity. Right? Y'all know the story. Slavery. There's a movie or a series almost every week on slavery now. It's as if they want us to remember that. I don't mind remembering slavery if you can tie it into Deuteronomy 28.
Right.
And tell us what Christ says concerning it. Why keep us in that mindset of slavery with these slave pictures all the time? It's a psychological play to feed in to the Black Lives Matter, to get you out there, to get you mad at white people. When really the Most High didn't put us in captivity to get mad at white people. I'm not teaching this today to get mad at white people. Okay? The white man could not have done anything if we didn't break the laws, statutes, and commandments in the book. So we should be mad at ourselves and look at the Bible and get right. That's the change they don't want. So they're inciting this racism now through slave pictures and all that. The same Jewish Zionists are putting out this thing that's going to have you get up and say, well, man, last night you seen someone get whipped on TV. And then the next day you look at the news, you see your brother get shot in the street. So they know you're going to connect the two and be like, man, they've been doing this since slavery. I'm going out and march. See? It's all to push your buttons and to move you into your own destruction. We're going to die in vast numbers playing their game. Now let me ask, when Christ said in Luke that when you should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, flee into the wilderness. Those that fled into the wilderness, were they cowards? Were they cowards for not standing there and fighting for their people? Or because of them, we wouldn't be living today? So I'm putting it out there. The Bible says to flee Babylon. And guess what? Eventually, there's going to be an exodus. Not a mass exodus, because they're going to do everything. They're going to try to put people on no-fly lists and all that. Okay? That's what they're going to try to do. Because they want to destroy as many who are awakened as possible. But eventually, it's all going to be destroyed, and the only place going to be left is Africa going into the wilderness. And that's when they're going to come against us at the very end, and we're going to go into the wilderness where we were before. That's Bible prophecy. America's going to be utterly destroyed. It's coming. It has a little time, but it is coming. So I'm putting it out there like we did before. Everything that we prophesied on the street according to the Most High is going down right now. And I'm going to tell you, when you should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, flee into the wilderness. Flee into the mountains. That's not my words, it's Christ. Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devil. Flee from the midst of Babylon. It's coming. This place will not be here upon the coming of our Lord and Savior. We will be saved from somewhere else. Now let's go. After we fell in 70 AD, you had the Arabs come up with their new religion, and now we're being pressed and being converted all in Africa and around the world by Muslims and Christians. We're no longer the religious leaders or the lawgivers. We're no longer in control of our people spiritually. Other nations has now taken the authoritative high ground when it comes to theology or religion concerning how we should connect to the Most High. You're in captivity, you follow the God that your captors are following. Now, the so-called white man never taught us of our God in the Bible. They taught philosophy out of the Bible. So there was a problem. During the 4th century, the Council of Nicaea, after we fell, in about between 321 and 325 AD, got all the religious leaders together, whether they believe the Bible or not, the Hebrew records or not, to make a universal religion that would be called the Roman Catholic Church. With this particular group, they were able to create a philosophy that would have the Roman pagan religion hide amongst Christianity, switching the Sabbath to Sunday, making it so that it's okay to break the laws of God and say it's okay under grace, changing the laws like Daniel 7:25 said the enemy would do, the Romans. They weren't doing it for themselves because they were already pagans. They were doing it to bring a new religion to us that would have us continually and systemically break the laws of our God and by default keep us in captivity. So it's okay to eat shrimp, crab, pork, lobster. It's okay to eat what you want, do what you want. It's okay to sin. It's okay. You're under grace. Keep on doing it so that we can enslave you and keep you under our foot. So they came together, the Gentiles, to bring a new brand of religion outside of Christ. So they had to control us. Now, brothers and sisters, this is where the Jesuit order come in under the Roman Catholic Church and quote unquote Masons. Because they can not only do it amongst the white Jewish leaders who control Masonry, they had to initiate our people into the Masonry that would have the same ideology under Lucifer to keep us under a false religion, thereby disconnecting us from the God in the Old Testament, the Christ in the New Testament. Keeping control by making us believe we're following the Most High God, but really following Satan, the God of the Gentiles. Get Job 13 and 8.
Job chapter 13, verse 8.
Read.
Will ye accept his person?
No. 13. Yeah, 13 and 4.
Job chapter 13, verse 4.
Job 13 and 4. Read it.
But ye are forgers of lies.
So when we fell as a people, brothers and sisters, the Gentiles became forgers of lies. They began to forge a lie. Read.
But ye are forgers of lies.
Read.
Ye are all physicians of no value.
And they became physicians of no value. So they would control us through their schools and all that and forge lies to keep us in captivity and use medicine, pseudo-medicine to kill us that would not help us. So they're getting us on the spiritual side and the physical side. Christian churches and vaccines. Those are just two examples. There's many. I'm just pulling two out of many lies that they're using to keep us destroyed physically and spiritually. But they cannot do this without black gatekeepers, without those who are complicit with our destruction in league with the Romans. Okay? They had to gain control of black clergy. They had to gain control of our politicians by initiating them into a promise under Lucifer, which is the Masonic order, to keep the lie going within the Christian churches and otherwise, and all points and all levels of academia. So we're going to go into some of the lies that was forged. And guess what, brothers and sisters? There's no coincidence that the lies were forged during the same time America was looking to release the slaves. This is when they came up with all these different religions. When there was no need for all these different religions, when America itself was founded by who? The Romans. Why didn't they just become Roman Catholics? Why create all these religions during the same time we were about to be freed from slavery? Were they afraid that we would just read the book ourselves and come to an understanding? That's what we are about to go into. The middle passage between 70 AD and America. Lesson: racism within Christian theology.